Welcome to True Wellness. Thanks for being here tonight. We're going to spend the next hour focusing in on children's nutrition, children's health, and the things that we help the kids get through and what they're up against in today's society. So I'm excited you're all here. We do a free workshop every single month. Every month they pick a different subject. This is really one of the first times we've really focused in on children's health, so it's kind of an exciting workshop for us. The first thing that I'm going to do, and the thing that we do at every single workshop, because it's absolutely that important, is to explain what regulation is, because for us, regulation is one of the primary foundations of biological medicine. When we talk about biological medicine, it's the European biological medicine is something that really came out of Germany and Switzerland. Right now, the Paracelsus Clinic and Dr. Thomas Rau are probably the beacons of light in regards to biological medicine. He's traveling around the world actually teaching practitioners the concepts in biological medicine. And it's very different than typical Western schooled medicine. He is a medical doctor. He's a rheumatologist. He practiced in the United States for 20 years. Then he went back to Europe and runs the clinic in Switzerland and really committed himself to biological medicine. One of the reasons he committed himself to biological medicine, which is a very old style medicine in Germany and Switzerland, in the German areas of Europe. It's something that has been there for hundreds of years. It's their primary medicine. He went back to that because after 20 years in America, he said, I'm not really helping anybody. He was a rheumatologist. And so he was doing a lot of drugs and a lot of injections for folks, and he basically went, I'm not helping anybody with their RA. Not really. I'm masking the symptoms, but I'm not getting rid of the issue for them. So he went back to Europe, stopped doing that type of medicine, and committed himself to biological medicine. Regulation and the concept of regulation is very important for us to understand if we decide to get involved in biological medicine, because it's a guide for us. It's a guide in regards to how well we are, how ill we are, how quickly we'll get better, how slowly we may get better. It's a way that we can constantly look at the body and get an understanding of kind of where it's at. Because our health and our illness is never a static state. We are always in a state of fluctuation. We're not a static thing like a rock. Tomorrow, she's a different lady than she is today. And the day after that, she's a different lady than she was yesterday. And it continues to go on. So we're constantly changing all the time. I look at as we're always moving in a place from degeneration, my cells in my body degenerating, and regenerating. Okay? So we're always in this place of degenerating and regenerating all the time. I eat a good lunch. When I eat my good lunch, I degenerate a little bit. What? I know you always expected me to say, oh, I regenerate a little bit. But when I eat my lunch, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of physiological and biological energy to break that food down, process that, absorb those nutrients, and get those nutrients in my cells so that I start to regenerate a little bit. But the process is burning energy, and whenever anything burns energy, it manifests waste and byproducts, and that's stressful. So when I eat, I degenerate. When I absorb the nutrients, I regenerate. When I breathe good air, I regenerate. When I breathe polluted air, I degenerate. Okay? So all day long we're doing this. That's an aspect of regulation. There's a deeper aspect of regulation, which is attached to our autonomic nervous system. And that's the part of the system that you don't really need to think about. Right now, you're not thinking about your breathing. You're just sitting there breathing. You're not thinking about digesting food. You're just digesting food. You're not having to think about healing the little cut on your toe because it's just doing it naturally. That's your autonomic nervous system. It's the autopilot. There's two aspects of that. You have what's known as a parasympathetic nervous system, and that's responsible for our ability to rest, heal, and digest. If a person lays down or sits down, they start to heal, rest, and digest. If you lay there or sit there long enough and he's really boring, you're going to fall asleep. That's what the parasympathetic system should do for us. Around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, everybody should go, oh yeah, it's been a good day, quite a day, and you start to go into more of a parasympathetic state. It's going to get you ready to fall asleep. When I wake up in the morning, my sympathetic nervous system is my alarm clock. This is responsible for burning energy, the fight or flight syndrome for folks, right? In other words, it's going to allow you to have enough energy to survive a traumatic experience. That's when you feel your adrenaline come on. Wow, that was scary. And then the body starts to calm down. That was a sympathetic response to a stimulation so that you will survive. You're either going to fight that experience or you're going to run away from it. But it gives you the energy to do that. I'm captured.
Okay, it just was...
It's okay. It was doing its thing. It's okay.
Sorry.
I want to make sure this is all getting ready.
Oh, who cares? So, regulation. These two aspects are very important. If you're a healthy person, you do this appropriately. When you sit and lay down, the body goes rest. When you stand up, it says, okay, we're going to burn energy. And if you do this appropriately, you have good regulation. If you have good regulation, you have the ability to compensate. So we say all the time in the office, if you regulate, you compensate. Doesn't mean you're never going to get sick. It means that you're going to have a cold, and in 3, 4, 5 days, you beat the cold. Maybe every 2 or 3 years, you fight the flu. But you recover. Nothing takes you down and keeps you down for extended periods of time. You feel like you have good energy. I sleep well at night. One of the great things about understanding regulation is you can tell if you do this on your own. If you sleep well through the night, you fall asleep easy, you stay asleep, and you wake up in the morning, you probably regulate. If you have a hard time falling asleep, even though you're exhausted, then you finally do. But every 2.5 hours, you're waking up. And sometimes you wake up and then you're up for the rest of the night. You don't regulate. You don't regulate because the first thing that's going to disappear is the ability to rest and heal. The body, especially in the West, here in America, we're stressed in a certain way. It tends to lock the body in to a sympathetic up level, so I'm constantly on edge, and a parasympathetic depression, so I don't really rest, heal, or digest, but I'm on all the time. And I might be really exhausted, but I'm on all the time. If I start to literally rest and force myself to rest, I get more and more and more tired. You don't regulate. So they're just some of the keys. If you don't poop every single day, you probably don't regulate. If you deal with constipation, you probably don't regulate, okay? So they're just some of the basics, and it's important to understand because if we regulate, we compensate, and if you regulate appropriately, you're going to have long-term health. They found that this process in the body is something that can be detected by a simple test called a heart rate variability. And the heart rate variability literally shows us how well does the person do this little dance. And then it gives us an idea of how quickly we can help someone recover and regain their health, or how long it might take because they're deeply blocked. There are primary stressors that affect this process. And they affect all of us all the time, from in utero all the way to the last day you take your breath. The things that deeply affect regulation are foods and allergies to foods. Dehydration also will greatly affect this, and it's really the ground floor. It's the old idea that that which is at the end of your fork is either going to give you health or give you illness. Okay? The food that we eat really affects our ability to regulate appropriately. Okay? And then you have other stresses that we're all up against. Metals in the environment, chemicals in the environment, scars on your skin, immune challenges, things like bacteria, virus, fungus, and mold, and emotional states of mind, what we think about, how we perceive the world all the time. You all right?
Okay.
Am I missing something?
No, he's
making fun. I'm going to bring him up.
Yeah, he's just entertaining.
Emotional stress, immune challenges, scars on your skin, chemicals, metals, and food allergies are the primary things that affect the ability of regulation in the body. We do a lot of therapies to free up that regulation, to take these primary stressors and start to eliminate them from the system so that the body has the ability to regulate. Because once you start to regulate, you'll start to heal on your own. It's really not magic. It's pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's pretty simple to understand. Regulation is really important. So, that being said, are there any questions about this concept, about regulation? Good. Okay. So, they said, "Oh, you're going to do a workshop on children's nutrition." And I said, "Oh, that's great. I love you guys picking all these wonderful topics for me." Let me say some basic things about children's nutrition, okay? Number one, depending on the time of life that we're going to talk about, the nutrition is totally different, okay? So an infant from 0 to 2 years old, babyhood, they need a certain type of nutrition. And I did some research to back myself up on some of the things I was thinking about in regards to this. So what I did is I looked at the World Health Organization website. It's a pretty good website. World Health Organization's got some good information. It's got some really bad information too. But you can pick through. But they are generally the folks that look at everything on the planet and get an idea of what's going on, okay, in regards to health. So the World Health Organization, and this is an awesome thing that I did not know they were doing, has a huge campaign right now around the world, not just in America, but around the world, to get women to understand that the best nutrition that you can give an infant is breast milk. I did not know this, but in most of the depressed countries around the world, the economically depressed areas of the world, they use formula. They're not whipping their breast out on their children. They're using formula. Here's the issue. This is right. This is not me. This is the World Health Organization. The issue with using formula, no matter how good the formula is, it does not have antigens from the mama. So the baby's not getting immunized in any way against anything that mommy's already dealt with. That's the cool thing with breast milk. Just to digress for 1 second, okay? We had Silas 6 months ago, and he was planned to be born a certain way, and so we're down the road a little bit, and we call our friend in Switzerland, and we say to our friend in Switzerland, you know, this is really exciting, is there anything we need to do? When do we start to give him what we call antigens, particular homeopathic remedies, to start any kind of immunization without doing a shot that has mercury in it, okay? There's homeopathics that can immunize our children, okay? So we said to him, "Oh, when should we do this? You know, we're excited. He's 3 months. Should we start rubbing something in his elbow?" Right? And he said, "Why would you do that?" "No, you don't need to do that. Isn't he being breastfed?" We said, "Well, of course. He's being breastfed, yeah." He said, "You don't have to do a thing to this child until he's done breastfeeding. Because he's not going to get a cold. He's not going to get the flu. He's not going to have anything go on with him as long as he's on her breast." 6 months, I'm not kidding you. They can attest to this. He has not had a runny nose. Nothing.
Wow.
We have had nothing with him. Not an issue. But he's breastfed. Hardcore. Every 2 hours. Okay? So, yeah, mom's dealing with it, but he's getting everything he needs. So the World Health Organization says the best thing you can do for your infant is breastfeed them because they get the body's antigens from mom. It builds their immune system. It's absolutely superfood. After that, and we wean the child from the breast, what we want to do is continue to avoid cow dairy. Now, this is a big controversy, especially in America, okay, because we're inundated with the idea that cow dairy gives you calcium. That's a lie. We're inundated that cow dairy gives them great protein. It's chock full of protein that you cannot digest. It's undigestible to the human body, but it's dense in protein, but you can't break it down, so he doesn't get anything out of it, okay? In cow dairy, there is pus, blood, and mucus from the cows. If you go to the grocery store and you grab a gallon of milk, off the thing, you know, one of them big plastic gallons of milk, that is typically a blend of 30 to 40,000 cows from around the country that's been blended together and then put into the bottle. Okay, it's not your farmer down the street who milked Betsy and gave you some milk. It's 30 to 40,000 different cows. It's all the same. Skim milk just means they pulled the fat out, and the fat's the only thing that's good for you in milk. The protein is undigestible. There's pus, blood, and viruses from the cow in the dairy stuff. Here's the problem. You give that to your child. When you give it to our children, they have no barrier in their digestive system. It's, in adults, considered to be leaky gut syndrome. In babies, it's considered very important because the nutrition that they get, nature designed this, does not need to be digested. It needs to go from mommy's breast right into their belly, right into their bloodstream with very little digestion. Okay? They get everything they need, but there's not a deep screening. There's nothing holding back large chunks of food going into the body. Large chunks of food that are undigested, that try and go into the bloodstream, create food allergy. If I take an infant after 6 months and I start to dose him with cow dairy, I literally clog his system up. I also force undigestible protein into his system. And here's the result. And you've seen a lot of them. These are the children that have droopy eyes that are all red. Their noses are always running.
God.
And they don't poop. They stop pooping. Okay? I had a lady in not too long ago. She had a child that was 2 weeks older, I think, than Silas. And, she wasn't breastfeeding, although she was home all the time. She decided that it was inconvenient, so she wasn't breastfeeding. I'm not kidding. This child was twice the size of Silas, but he only pooped every once a day. He was a once-a-day pooper. She thought that was great. I went, are you kidding? I'm changing 11 diapers a day. He eats every 2.5 hours, and then I get a little poop. And then he eats again, and we get some pee, and then he gets some poop. And then, I'm the kid. Boy runs through some serious diapers. This is appropriate. To have an infant that poops once a day, guys, is really not healthy. Plus the fact that all of us, for some reason, have gotten used to big fat babies. Big puffy babies. The only time you see big puffy babies are when they are formula fed. You will not see a breastfed child that gets puffy fat like that. Hey, we have a homeopathic pediatrician who literally said to us, you know that a breastfed baby will be slightly smaller, slightly more underweight, won't get that puffy fatness. You're going to have a lot of people going, oh, he's really cute and he's really small. Because they're not used to seeing children who aren't inundated with that fat that they can't break down, with the protein that they can't break down. It's got to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. Okay? So you're forcing the body to deal with that. So in regards to nutrition from 0 to 2, the best thing we can give them is breast milk. Then what? Come on. Somebody tell me, what's the next thing Americans feed their kids? We're asked this all the time. Have you given him this yet?
Cereal.
Thank you. Beautiful. Excellent. Have you given him cereal yet? Have you given him rice yet? And our answer is no. We haven't. And we literally had someone say, well, why not? It's a great filler.
That would be my brother.
I don't want to. I wasn't going to mention that. Here's the thing, guys. We don't want to fill him. I want to give him nutrition so he grows. I don't want to just fill him so he shuts up and leaves me alone. Because listen, guys, here's the bottom line, especially when it comes to our infants and our children from 0 to 5. Okay? What we typically see, and it's just a cultural thing, this has happened to us on some level. Okay? We've taken our children and we went, I need to do the thing that is easiest. I don't want to struggle to feed my kids. And this needs to be easy because I've got all this other stuff I need to do in my day. Okay? And as much as I love my children, they're an inconvenience. It's a hassle. It's a hassle. So I need to make this easy. And unfortunately, easy is prepackaged, pre-made, microwaved, la 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 la. It doesn't take any time to produce the food for the child. And then what you get is at 9 or 10, the child comes into the office and the parent goes, they can't think in school. They can't concentrate. He can't sit still. It's all food allergies. It's all food allergies. And lack of nutrition. And lack of nutrition. Okay? So, breast milk. Then the next thing, vegetables. Okay? And what color vegetables? Orange and yellow we start with. Then you slowly move to the greens. Peas are the next thing. But orange and yellow, very good, very safe, very assimilating for the child. Okay? They'll be able to digest this relatively easily. And Mom makes this stuff at home. We also buy organic baby food. But primarily, Mom actually cooks sweet potatoes. Then she takes them out and she mashes them with some ghee. Ghee is clarified butter from a goat or a sheep. Okay? And that's very good for them. You want to give them some fat. We've also boiled beef bones and taken the stock and poured that into ice cube trays. And then you take an ice cube and you put that beef broth in with your sweet potato and a little ghee, and now you mash it and you spin it with a little blender, and you add a little water, and you got baby food. It's awesome. You can make a lot of it and put it in the fridge. Now you just delve it out to them. It's pretty easy. It's actually easy. But nobody thinks it's easy. It's easier to go to the grocery store and get something pre-made. But it's not been a problem. And she's been doing this for 4 months now, right?
Oh, he's only had
Three-
for
2 months.
not even, yeah. Like,
Yeah. No, not even. You're right.
6 weeks.
6 weeks of
And
food.
he likes it?
Loves it.
Really?
Loves it. Loves it. Loves it. Loves it. Well, that's the second phase. That's the second phase. So then you got a lot of folks that go, my kid won't eat X, Y, Z. I can't get him to eat blah, blah, blah. They don't like this. They don't like that. Hey, that's a reflection on the parents. Because he does not know what he likes or doesn't like. Okay? We decide what he likes or doesn't like on some level. How do we do that? We do it by offering him those foods. Now, when a child rejects something, he rejected liver. We gave it to him a little early, but he rejected it. And what I meant by rejecting, we went like this, and he went, that's not a taste I'm after right now. So here's what we did. Now, this is a pediatrician said, give the boy some liver, get some liver in him. Okay? So we've got a professional tell us get some liver in him. But he went like this, and we went, let's take his cue. He's rejecting the liver, so let's not give it to him. Now, am I going to try and give him liver again? Absolutely. And I will try it 14 times. 14 is the magic number. Your body and your brain literally has to be exposed to something 14 times before you make a conscious decision of going, I like that, or I don't like that. So when your child goes, I don't like peas, go, well, you only tried them once. You got 13 more times to eat. Then if you say on 14, I really don't like peas, then you'll have to eat them. But guess what? By 6th, 7th, 8th time, oh, I'm eating peas because we all eat peas. Okay? Our children are a deep reflection of us. They also reflect what's going on in the dynamics of the family. So it's important to realize that they're little mirrors, and they feel everything. They hear everything. The worst thing I see parents do is they're having a conversation acting like that he doesn't hear anything they're saying. Now, some folks do that, and the child's 6 months old, and I personally think he hears everything we say. But I'll give you, he's a little infant, he doesn't know what we're talking about. But I've seen parents do it with a 9-year-old. Well, he's this and he's that and the other thing. Right? You don't think he's hearing this? You don't think he's responding to that? So, we know that those little nervous systems are totally alive, totally aware, taking in everything. They're going to feel how you feel about food. If mommy doesn't like liver, there's a good possibility baby's going to reject liver. But if mommy goes, man, I love liver. Liver's one of my favorite foods, and goes to give it to the baby, is there a different energy around that? Is there an expectation of, you're going to like this too? Is there an expectation of, you're not going to like this either? Yeah, sure. So these are some of the things I want you to think about. Kelly's going to talk a bit more about the specific nutrition. I'm going to talk about more of the philosophies around how we handle our kids around food. Okay? So, we ultimately decide whether they actually like it or not. Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to reject it and give you a hard time. But it's how you deal with that and keep reintroducing good food. The biggest problem that I think we're all up against is the easy factor. It's easy to give them prepackaged McNuggets. It's easy to let them drink the things that all the other kids drink. It's easy to fall into the idea that, yes, they should have cow dairy. And that, well, it's easy to do that. It's easy to microwave macaroni and cheese. But it's not good for them. It's not good for them because it's empty calories. It's not good for any of us because it's just empty calories. What we're looking to do is give our children the strongest, purest nutrition that we can, because in those years, we're using nutrition like nobody's business. We need, from 0 to 2, we need 1.1 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Okay? And then as we get a little older and we start to age and we start to grow, we need more protein. So we got to get good absorbable protein into our children. We need to get good vegetable matter into our children, because that vegetable matter, giving them vitamins and minerals, yes, but it also gives them the ability to create good bacteria in their digestive systems. And when we give them food that doesn't support that, it destroys that good bacteria in the system and it depletes their immune system. Believe it or not, some really good foods for children are foods that are fermented. Yeah, Kombucha is good, sauerkraut is good. Foods that are fermented are really good for kids. It is good for their immune system. It's fantastic for their digestive system as they get older, okay? And again, it's how you introduce that. My goddaughter in Switzerland drinks chlorella like it's water. I even have a photograph of her where she's got a big glass of Corella and she's got a big green mustache and she's smiling. I thought, what a great commercial.
Right.
Got Corella? Yeah.
What is that?
Corella is a microorganism that breaks down and sucks metal out of the body. It's a very detoxifying microorganism, okay, that is raised in the water. It's actually farmed, okay? So, now, I could hand out Corella to all of you, and you'd all go, oh, yeah, that's disgusting, okay? But she learned, this is good. Oh, this is so good. Daddy drinks it, Mommy drinks it, I drink it. Oh, we think this is good. She's learned that it's good. It's really good for her. So, it's a matter of those types of things, how we approach it, what our attitudes is toward food, our children are going to pick up. Here's the thing, guys. This all happened to us. See, right now, he's doing a bottle right now. I'm not going to bring him up. Right now, Silas is 5 months.
6 months and 5
In 5 days, he's going to be 6 months old, okay? He's a blank slate right now. Right now, he's a totally blank slate. Whatever her and I decide to feed him is what he's going to be fed. However her and I decide to address him around food, around fears, around clothes, whatever it might be, he's going to pick up our ideas and our feelings about what that is, okay? As he gets older, he's going to be able to make his own decisions, but we've locked in a hard pattern, okay? And we can lock in a hard pattern of healthy choices and healthy eating and healthy thinking. Well, we can lock in patterns of unhealthy eating, unhealthy choices, and unhealthy thinking. Totally up to us. That child has nothing to do with it. We may have to battle, but ultimately he has nothing to do with it. Okay? So, it's really on us. And it's unfortunate because it's taken a back burner. A lot of times our kids' nutrition take a back burner because there's so much other stuff going on. One of the things they talked about at the World Health Organization is one of the worst lunches are school lunches. School lunches today are still really, really difficult for children. Very bad. They're still serving pizzas and stuff. You know, it's really not good. It's one of the worst foods we can give them. So, what do we want to try and give them? We want to try and give them love. Local food. Organic food, LO. Highly vegetable-rich foods, LOV. And give them the E, which is environmentally friendly. You're functioning in an environmentally friendly way. So all we're going to do with our kids is give them love. Give them local food, organic food, and vegetable-rich food. If you do those three things, you're really going to nail it. You're really going to make a difference, okay? And what will happen is this. This has happened to my goddaughter. At 4 years old, she came to America. She was visiting us, and her mother said, oh, you want to try McDonald's? We'll try McDonald's.
Because she got sucked in like every kid
This
does
is good.
by the playground. She wanted to go to the playground. I
This
want
is
to go to
good.
the playground. I want to go to the playground.
You know, at the McDonald's, you see all the fun stuff. So she wanted to go there. So Mama said, okay. She'd never had McDonald's before. So they went, they got a burger.
Yep.
Right? I forget what else. This is very
Fries. Burger,
the burger fries. Okay. So Alina goes to take a bite of the burger. She bites the burger, and she gets a face. No, really. And then she spits it out, and she doesn't eat the meat. She picks at the bun a little bit. Is that right? She picked at the bun a little bit, and that was the end of that. Now, if you say to this girl at a dinner table, would you like some Fleisch? Fleisch is meat in German. Oh, she's all about it. But if you give her that McDonald's burger, she rejected it. I thought it was very interesting. Mama did too. It's very cool. She got to play on the playground, but she didn't eat that stuff because she literally rejected it. Now, let me say this. If I took Alina to McDonald's 3 times a week, and we did that, I'd have her eating it pretty soon. And once I have her eating it pretty soon, she's going to crave it because there are chemicals in there to force us to crave it, and we get addicted to it. Now my kids totally need it. They need it. If I don't get it, they're going to get moody on me and funky on me. So will adults. But what happens is we'll dose ourselves not to feel bad. And now you're on the hamster wheel of really poor nutrition. And it's easy to get our kids on that same wheel. Why? It's cheap. It's fast. I don't need to think about it. So, the last and final thing I want to talk about before Kelly comes up is this. Mealtime. Actual mealtime. When we have mealtime with our children, I don't care what their ages are, here's the things that we don't want to do. I am not going to reprimand my children at mealtime. I am not going to ask them what school was like or talk about anything stressful, mealtime is going to be actually focused on the foods that we're eating, how we prepared them, how exciting the food is, and how wonderful it is for mommy and daddy and babies to all be together and share food. That's it. Now, dinner time is over. Johnny's 8 years old. Dinner time is over. We leave the kitchen area or the dining room, and I say to Johnny, hey, come on in here for a second. And he comes into the living room, and I sit Johnny down, and I say, I got a letter from school today. And I give him what for in regards to what's going on at school. I can do that. He's got a full belly, not an issue, but he's not eating. Here's why this is so important. If you take a child, and we're all eating our food, and mom and dad start arguing, or I start to reprimand Johnny because of what he did at school, his body does not know the difference in regards to the anxiety he's feeling and whether that is connected to what I'm eating or what daddy is saying to me. Can't decide, can't make a distinction. The body literally goes, these peas make anxiety in me. Okay, fine. Now Johnny's 27 and he's out on a date. He starts to eat some peas and has an anxiety attack. He doesn't know why he has the anxiety attack. Doesn't know why. It felt terrible. I had to leave the restaurant. But what has happened is there's a program that is in his system that at a certain amount of stress, if I get the peas, I go into anxiety because Dad yelled at me when I was 8. Okay? That's called creating an emotional allergy for the person. And it's easily done under stress when they eat. So mealtime is joyful and loving, and then after that, spank his hiney if you need to, but don't do it while he's eating. Beautiful. This is very important. You'll help your children in regards to food. The final thing I wanted to mention is this. There's been a study done, and they found that, first of all, obesity is a horrendous thing in this country for children. Type 2 diabetes is rampant. It's a real problem, and that's all directly related to our food. They also found that if you allow a child, an infant, to eat with his fingers, to grab food and eat with his fingers, and not use a utensil for a period of time in the beginning, they tend, over their entire life, to make better food choices, and they tend to not be obese.
Really?
How bizarre is that? Yeah. If you let the child do it with his hands, they will tend to have a more normal body weight than if you use a utensil. Kind of interesting. They also found that if the mom is obese, the child in his adult life will have a 30% greater chance of being obese just because mom was obese when she was pregnant. Wild, huh? So, these are some concepts. These are some ideas in regards to what food does and what food is for us and our kids. Kelly's going to come up and talk about some of the specific things that she's done for her child and things that we do for the kids here and what they really need. Unfortunately, most children and most of us don't actually get all the nutrition we need, so there is a need for supplementation a lot of times, although we try to do the best we can in regards to having them actually utilize food to get nutrition. If our children aren't getting everything they need, and most of them aren't, then there are some good supplements that we can give our kids without worry, and they actually get a little bit of a boost around that.
Well, and in that same vein, even if we feed them a completely organic, local, vegetarian-based diet, taking in environmentals into consideration, they still need supplementation because that's just the bottom line. Unfortunately, our soils are depleted, and as
minerals,
great
yeah.
farms as we have, and we have real great access to that in this area, we still need to supplement our kids' diet. You know, and that being said, if you are going to breastfeed to the pregnant group in the audience, know that whatever you're taking, they're getting. So one of the reasons that liver is so important to a young child is because it really helps develop their brain, and it's full of vitamin A and D. You can also get that in cod liver oil, which thank God they make in a pill form, and you don't have to just drink it in the liquid form because it's absolutely disgusting. That being said, you know, what I was saying is true. You know, Silas watches me every morning and has since he's been born take my handful of supplements. And then he watches me every night take my handful of supplements. And he's like getting them at, you know, he wants them. So when it's time for me to give him supplements, guess who I'm not going to have a problem giving supplements to? You know, I mean, I hate to make a comparison to dogs, but the reality is there. dogs and children are very much alike. Most people have a problem giving their dogs medicines or
I
pills or
do.
anything. My dogs wait for me to drop something, and they're eating stuff that no dog would ever eat except for my dogs, because they're like, oh, Kelly's getting her supplements, I get mine, or I dose out mine and Iron's at the same time in the morning, and they're praying that I drop something. Whether it's SP green food, it's cod liver oil, it's CoQ10, whatever, and they get it, whatever I drop. Bless their heart. And I don't have to. I just put their stuff in their bowls in the morning. They just gobble it up with their food. Our kids are the same way. They're gonna watch and do what we do. I'm all about resources. I'm a researcher. I'm the opposite of. Ian does a lot of research too, but he's much more intuitive. I'm much more like, let me find out why I want to do that. So there's some great books out there, and there's an incredible magazine that I highly recommend you getting a subscription to, Pathways to Family Wellness. And whether this is for your child or for yourself, there's lots of information in here that can be applied to everybody, because our kids are going to do what we do. If I know why Silas doesn't like liver, I can tell you right now why. I was disgusted from the moment I bought it to the moment I had to fix it, to grinding it up, to adding the stock to it. Every aspect of it, I was absolutely disgusted and grossed out.
I don't like liver
meat.
if it's a waste.
I don't like liver. I don't like
no.
any of it. And I was like, but I'm doing it because it's good for my child. But the whole time I was like, this is absolutely disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to do it with a different intention this week as I make it for him and know that it's really good for him. And I'm going to taste it, because they're only going to be as adventurous as we are. His goddaughter, Alina, we use her as an example because she has the broadest palate of any person I've ever met in my life. Between her two parents, they eat everything. They traveled the world. She's very fortunate because of what her father does, that he gets to travel doing what he does. So she literally has traveled the world. She's been in like 6 different countries already. And everywhere they go, she gets different food. And she sits there and she picks up sardines and eats them. Oh. She'll pick up whatever is in front of her, pick it up and put it in her mouth. She'll try anything. She's not grossed out. And we have a lot of problem in our office with kids drinking their chocolate flavored protein powder that moms are mixing with double stuffed Oreos, which is totally defeating the purpose to get them the protein. Well, here's my thing. Give it to them 10 times and that's what they get. I mean, this is a parenting issue as much as it is a food issue for the kid. You know what? If the food isn't in, why are there double stuffed Oreos in the house if you're coming to this office? That's my first question. I mean, I don't know what, not everybody needs to jump in with both feet right away. But you know what? If you're coming here and you're educating yourself, you shouldn't have double stuffed Oreos in the house. If they get it at their friend's house, that's one thing. But if they have it available to them at their house, they're going to think that's allowable. And you know what's done once in a while when they're at their friend's house is now done once every couple days at your house. And that sugar is feeding the illness of the SAD diet, the standard American diet. So it's hard. Like Ian said, it's not easy. You know, I struggle too. I love chocolate. Trust me, if you know me, love chocolate. But I like dark chocolate. Yeah, I like milk chocolate, used to anyway. I don't like it anymore because I've not exposed myself to it. And when I've had it, I'm like, oh, that's not even good. So I've gotten rid of it because I know what's good for me. And so therefore, I'm going to instill that into my child and to all of our clients. So I know that is difficult because I want my kid to be like everybody else's kid. There's that whole mentality. But why? Why do we have to be like everybody else's? Why don't we be the leaders and show them the way that there is a better, easier way? And there's an incredible resource out there called The Organic Nanny. I don't have a copy of it because I just recently gave it to my babysitter, and she loves it. She's totally enthralled and enjoying it. We have a lot of books in our library, and 90% of the information in those books we agree with. 10% of the information in every single book on our shelf, there's something in there that I'm like, ugh, I wish they didn't go there and say that. I have never read a book like I did with The Organic Nanny and did not disagree with one thing that she said. And that's all I'm going to say about that book. Read that book. It's a great one. There's also, what's that? Sure.
So, like exposure, you said to a friend's house?
Yes.
With Peyton, who's 9.
it's not just exposure. It's like, and I know it's summer, so he's at their houses a lot more frequently.
Sure.
But it's like constant exposure between what he sees at the lunch table and then at somebody's house, and why don't we have, and it's a constant battle.
Sure.
And I guess that comes under the difficult part. But
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like there, like I say we don't buy it. I mean,
You tell them why. Kids are inquisitive and they're intelligent. And they want to know why. That was part of my thing that I was going to mention is get them involved in the food. Get them involved. I mean, Jess's child, God bless her, she's at the farm 2-3 times a week because they run a CSA. They have their own organic farm. She's at the farmer's market all the time. She's exposed. And you work at Whole Foods, so I know he's at Whole Foods all the time. And he's exposed to it. Give him information. Let him make, at 9 years old, I would let him start to make the decision himself as to why he's doing this. And give him the opportunity to fall in his face a little bit at that age, you know?
I have.
Yeah, sure.
And he's going to see it in his reactions,
Yeah.
I'm sure of it, because he's so sensitive.
But you could say to any child, you could grab any 8 or 9 year old child, and you could sit that child down without any pre-work around it, and you could say, is this good for you to eat? Is this really good for you to eat? Is that Oreo good for you to eat? It's not about does it taste good. Is it good for you? Or is this vegetable good for you? And guess what? They all know. They all actually intuitively, with the innate intelligence that we're given, we all know what's actually good for us to eat or not good for us to eat. Doesn't mean that sweets don't taste good. But there's a difference between something tasting good and something that's actually good for us. So if we say, okay, Silas, is the Oreo good for you? And he says, no, the Oreo's not good, but I still want to eat it. I'm going to say, go ahead and eat it, and then see how you feel. Let's see, are you all cranky and crazy because you got sugared up? And like Kel said, start to let them experiment and understand, hey, there's a lot of choices, and it's going to be your choice. You want to make a good choice, you want to make a bad choice. Now, if he sees Poppy eating Oreo cookies watching the baseball game at nighttime, he's going to go, that's appropriate. Oreo cookies are something that we do. Okay? But if he sees Dad eating peanuts and seeds and some celery and peanut butter, then he goes, oh, that's what we do. Because I've pretty much got him for the next 5 years, and I can download the information into him. Once I download the information into him, I got to set him loose. Now I got to trust that he's going to go, well, we never really did Oreos in our house. And when I try that, that tastes weird to me because I'm not habituated to eating them. Okay? The same child goes, oh, broccoli, it tastes weird to me. Why? Well, because Mommy don't force me to eat broccoli. We don't eat broccoli in the house. Okay? So that's what's ultimately going to happen. The tough part is you basically have 0 to about 4. And then that's it. Right? 0 to 5, we are the human beings we're going to be. So this is the time we get to download all the information that we can in relationship to what's going to be good or bad. What his nervous system will accept is appropriate or inappropriate, and how he views life, what kind of relationship he has with foods.
And it's not saying you can't
change that.
Overcome that if
Absolutely.
They're older than 4 or 5. It's just going to take a little more work and due diligence and persistence. You know, persistence beats resistance. It's the age-old.
Yeah.
And it's true, though, and I get how hard that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already freaked about sending him to school on all the birthdays, right? I mean, I've heard multiple parents complain about that with birthdays.
Yeah.
And it is.
It's every day, though.
But you know what?
I'm classroom. Somebody's having a birthday.
You can also send them with a digestive enzyme and say, hey, take this if you're going to eat that food because we know how you react to it. Or maybe you don't eat that every single time. Maybe you slip them. I mean, Jess has really helped out our website for those of you who access it and given us an incredible blog with a new recipe every single Wednesday. And the newsletter this month was all about recipes that are healthy and delicious. And at our open house patient appreciation day, we're going to have desserts that are delicious and nutritious. And I've invited 2 of our children already that I've said, come, and I tell the parents, bring them because just for the food alone, that's what they need to come for. Because they need to learn that there are foods that can taste good and that are actually healthy at the same time. And we need to educate our children. I mean, I think we've gotten away from that as a society, that food actually makes us feel a certain way. That food is actually one of the most important things that we should be educated about from the time that we're born moving forward. And it's all about easy and microwave this and run through the drive-through that. Bamboo's his favorite.
He loves bamboo.
Aww.
So the other thing is kids' menus.
Yeah. Don't eat off
I
the
wish
kids'
they
meals.
would just delete
Oh.
kids' menus. Just delete them. Just get rid of them. That is, every kid's menu is the same, and it's all crap food. So I would never, ever, ever order children off kids' menu. They don't need their own. If you're
Menu.
going out to a restaurant, they don't need their own plate of food. They can eat off of yours, and therefore they will learn, and
What
you
you
will eat better choices because you want your child to eat good too. So you might not order the fries. You're going to order the salad on the side too, because then they'll eat the salad as well. Lead by example. Protein is so important because they need it to develop their entire bodies, particularly their brains, and good oils. Fish and good oils like flaxseed oil. There are this company, Nordic Naturals, is an incredible company, and they have gummies. The only downside is they're covered in cane sugar. But it's okay. The kids eat them like candy because they taste like candy. So instead of giving them a treat at the end of a dinner of a double stuffed Oreo, since we seem to be on the subject, here's a couple gummies. And they think they're getting a treat, and you're giving them good oils for their brain. And it's just one other way to kind of, sneak it into them. Also, I know that he'll do a ton of smoothies. Other than not liking the sound of the Vitamix at this point, he watches me do a smoothie 3 to 4 days a week. And I just throw everything in there. It's really amazing that it tastes good when it's all said and done.
Here's another difficult thing for you to
spinach in there
kick
and
around
everything.
a little bit. Okay? And again, it's an unconscious thing that has happened to us. So we pass it on because it's kind of how we're trained. But ideally, we do not want to use food as a reward or a punishment. Oh, you were good. We're going to McDonald's. Oh, you were good. You can have the chocolate chip cookie. Try not to use food as a punishment or as a reward. Okay? And then if we do that, food does not become a punishment or a reward. And therefore, I don't, as an adult, eat emotionally. Oh, I feel bad. I can feel better if I eat my cookies. Okay? We do it as adults. Okay? So it locks in a pattern of emotional eating. If he only learns that we eat because it feeds our body and it fuels our systems, and we do all kinds of other things for pleasure, and we do all kinds of other things for punishment, but none of it revolves around food, he'll have a really good relationship with food, and it won't be something that hangs over.
Here's a little nutrition coming back out.
That's good. It's the end of the day, Bubba.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's also another great book called Super Nutrition for Babies, which you can utilize for babies, but it also is for toddlers, and then, you can really utilize the information in that book for all age groups. And the last book that I want to recommend, if you want to understand culturally where we stand and why our country is so different than every other country out there, and why every country stands there saying our way is the best way. Our babies sleep on our back versus our babies sleep on our belly.
Oh, that's a good
Our
one.
babies, eat breast milk and ours eat formula.
All
Ours
kinds
get
of-
vaccines, ours don't. It's everybody stands there and says we're right and you're all wrong.
Sure.
If you want to understand culturally why that is, and there's a new form of pediatrics called ethnopediatricians, and they created this whole subculture by looking at all the different cultures, and it's called Our Babies, Ourselves. It's an incredible book.
In most cultures, when a child is born, the child will sleep literally with the parents, literally on their bodies, for a year or two. They don't have their own beds. They lay in the hammocks with mom or dad,
And all the other kids are in that bed too.
And all the other children are typically in the same room. So it's a whole different experience around adults and children and the connection. Fortunately, Kelly and I had the ability when Silas was born to take about 2 weeks. And we literally laid in bed, both of us, with him. And she would breastfeed him. And then she would pass him over to me and he would sleep on my chest. And then I'd pass him back to her. And we passed this child back and forth, literally, skin-to-skin contact for 2 weeks. He was either on my chest, skin to skin, or he was on her chest, skin to skin for 2 weeks. It's called a babymoon, like a honeymoon. But we took a babymoon so that he would connect with me as much as he connected with her. Because in our culture, dads go, I had a baby, have a cigar, I'm going back to work. Mommy takes care of him, and I basically don't do that much interaction. I'm very fortunate. But
Yes.
I've been able to really have a lot of interaction with him, and for 2 weeks, he was on my skin as much as hers. So we have special mornings, and I get to change his diapers a lot, and I feel like, and maybe it's my projection, but I feel like Silas really has a relationship and a connection to me that's a little different than with Mommy.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I'm able to put him to sleep very, very easily. When he's with Mommy, Mommy is food. I don't want to sleep. I don't want to eat. I want to eat.
And with Daddy, he wants to be parasympathetic. He wants to poop on him.
Yeah, he spits up on me. That's all parasympathetic. Okay?
Oh my God.
So it's a great balance. It's a great balance, and we're excited we were able to do that. And we got a really bright little boy. He's a pretty special little guy. Huh.
So as far as some things as your kids get older or even as infants, we don't obviously treat anything with medicines, and Silas hasn't had anything but chamomile at this point as a homeopathic.
Yep.
This is a great kit. Highlands is an incredible company, and they put together this great, easy kit that pretty much takes you down the line for fevers, coughs, colds, fevers. They also have a great teething formula as well. So I highly recommend, if you're going to have kids, keep this in your medicine cabinet, keep it in your go-to. Most of it's in my baby bag, actually, so that if something comes up, I have it ready to go.
Children respond very well to
The
homeopathics.
first time he had chamomile was hysterical. He was just a little fussy, and he wasn't calming down. He needed to sleep. He doesn't sleep much.
Nope.
He likes to be moving and awake and shaking.
Yep.
And so we crushed up a chamomile and I put it on his finger and put it in his mouth, and then for 40 minutes, Silas
He just
laid there
chilled.
like this. I was like, yeah, somebody
It's
tell
not
me
a drug.
homeopathics don't work.
It's not
He
a
was
drug.
like,
It's
chilled.
information to the nervous system, and children respond extremely well to them. The great thing about homeopathics is you can never overdose your child. There's no fear of ever overdosing a child and having any kind of poison experience, because it's literally information. Hold on, I'll bring you like this. It's okay. I love it.
He knows Kim. Kim's our acupuncturist. If you're going to come to our open house, you'll get to meet her. She's fantastic, and she helped him get here.
Yep.
She helped Mama throughout the process, and she helped him come in just for him and not with my stuff.
Right.
Which was really great.
That's
Yeah,
great.
we got acupuncture the whole way through, and she really helped Mama heal afterwards.
So homeopathy is great for children because they respond to it very well. Energetic therapies are extremely powerful for children. Again, because they respond extremely well to them. It's an informational program more than anything else. Most of the time, the reason children respond very well is because typically they're not quite as loaded up as you and I are as adults in relationship to the planet's stuff. And so they're typically, not always, but typically they're dealing with a little less of a toxic load. Now, we have definitely seen children who are what we call preloaded. That means mom had a lot of toxic stuff going on through her pregnancy. When a child, especially the first child, will typically detoxify the mother, okay? Most things will pass through the placenta barrier, and the child picks up what's going on for mom. So Kelly took a year before we had Silas, and she detoxified her body for an entire year. She did a lot of good nutrition, but she also detoxified for heavy metals. She did IVs, and she took a lot of oral stuff because she knew that if she didn't do that, she could possibly preload this kid with some of her toxic load. We were going to try and give Silas an opportunity to be as clean as possible, from the get-go, and then he's got to deal with what's on the planet. So that's another thing to think about. And what I have found just clinically is that children respond to these therapies so wonderfully amazing. It's just incredible. So I just wanted to mention that in regards to therapies for kids.
The other thing that you can give them pretty instantly is something called bioplasma salts, which are tissue cell salts. There was a doctor in the 1800s that essentially burned cadavers, both human and animals, and found that when he did that, they all ended up being the exact same 12 tissue cell salts. So calcium, phosphorus, ferrum, phosphorum, blah, blah, blah. There's 12 of them. Bioplasm salts, this one in particular, is the combination of all 12. You can also dose individual ones for individual things going on, but it really gives the kids all the minerals that they need, and they dissolve like that.
Yeah,
Typically you do 4 to 8 of them at a time. With somebody Silas's age, I would do 1 to 2. As they grow, you know, as an adult, you want to do about 8 3 times a day. So if you want to just dose it out, it can't overdose.
It can't hurt them.
this.
Yeah.
And it gives them minerals right away, where they don't have to swallow a pill.
Right.
All they have to do is open their mouth and it dissolves.
How many times? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And there are a lot of Sanam remedies as well, which are drops, which you can do to help boost the immune system. So if, for instance, you weren't able to have a vaginal birth and the child wasn't able to get through the vaginal canal to get all the good bacteria to help get their immune system started, then you can dose the homeopathic remedies from Sanam to reconstitute the gut to get the proper bacteria in the gut. And as you go through stuff, like when I gave him liver and he had explosive bowels that was causing a little diaper rash, I started giving him Fort to help drain his liver, because I knew that was a heavy dense protein, and I knew that was a little tough for him to digest. Obvious in what was coming out was a lot of the bilirubin because it was bright green. So I gave him a little Fort, which helps drain the liver. So he has had that. He's had chamomile and Fort.
Yeah.
And Sanam. That's the Arctic cod liver oil. If Mama takes it, that's great. And now they also have a lemon flavored one, so that as you are ready to now give it to your child, you can get the lemon flavored cod liver oil in an oil form and add it to a smoothie or add it to water. I don't do water. I would do a little bit of juice of some sort, although I'm not a big fan of juice.
Adelaide drinks it.
Adelaide is the best. She drinks it plain.
Yeah.
Good for Adelaide.
But here's why. Because Jess
She doesn't know any
assumed
better.
that she's going to drink this. It's not a problem. Mommy likes this. Our taste is something that's developed through responses from other people and our experiences, okay? So you only have 4 tastes, right? There's only salt, sour, sweet, and
Savers.
I forget the last one. So there's only so many combinations. So it's, again, she went, oh, cod liver oil, this is wonderful. It tastes like orange. And so she assumed that Adelaide was going to like that, so now she does. That has so much to do with how our kids respond to stuff. Absolutely.
Another mineral that's actually designed for children is Organic Life Vitamins. It also has a lot of minerals in it, and it's like an orange flavored. You do have to keep it refrigerated. I like this. I just wish, like what Ayn was just saying, that they almost didn't flavor it orange and just made it taste the way it did, because you're kind of, telling the kids that something orange and sweet, that's what you like. That's going to be just like they put the cane sugar on the gummies. Like, couldn't we have done it without the cane sugar? But I hear, one baby step at a time. And then Mighty Greens, also designed for kids. It helps them detox. It also has a lot of other, this thing is chocked full of incredible stuff. Wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa, soy lecithin, which is good for the brain, spirulina, pectin, barley, bee pollen, which is good for the brain as well, pine oak grass, ryegrass, chlorella. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to continue to read it.
Is that chewable or swap?
This is a powder that you can add. It's specifically designed to add to apple juice. Now, again, not a big apple juice fan.
No.
But you can add it to water with a splash of apple juice so that it can get a little sweetness without it being totally sweet. And this is going to be one of the first things Silas, as he starts to eat real food in about 3 to 4 months, beyond just what I'm dosing out baby food wise, it's one of the first things he's going to get, because it's full of nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And as nutritious as I can be, as organic and local. And my Saturdays are spent going from one market to the next, farmer's market. I still will supplement him, because I know that as good as I can be, I still can't get him everything that I can possibly,
And everything she's mentioned, she keeps saying minerals. Oh, this is more minerals. Here's some more minerals. We're not talking that much about vitamins. Minerals are more important than vitamins.
Yeah.
You need minerals so that you can get the vitamins out of your food.
Right.
So I know many of us have seen children who go outside to play, and suddenly, oh my God, he's eating dirt. Or she's chewing on a rock. Oh my, look, what do you got in your... There's a reason that children do that. If your child wants to eat dirt or is chewing on rocks, they're minerally deficient. They're searching for minerals, and one of the great places we can get minerals is in the dirt. So it's okay, right? Isn't there a book, a a pound of dirt before
Yeah.
you're 5 or something, right? You got to eat a pound of dirt. There's a reason that kids do that. It's showing that our food is minerally deficient because the soil is minerally deficient, and so no matter how hard she tries to give him really good foods, we're going to supplement him with minerals because we know that he just can't really get that. So if you see your kids eating dirt, grab them and go, we need to give you some minerals, and they'll stop doing that. Animals will do the same thing. Horses will do the same thing. They'll pick up rocks and chew on them if they're minerally deficient. Then you throw out a mineral block, and they'll lick on that, and they won't chew your fence up. They just want minerals.
And I know you both have a question. I just want to hit something real quick. Get them to know the farmers and the farms. It's so important because they need to understand where food comes from.
Not
I
the
was
grocery
raised
store.
around farms, so I always knew that a cow, the beef that we were eating
Right.
was from the cow, the chicken was from the chicken. Like,
Right.
I just knew that from the time I was born, and so that was that. Of course, I was a vegetarian for many years because it grossed me out. That's another story. That being said, get them to know the farm, get them involved, take them to the farmer's market. What food do you like? Let them energetically feel what they want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
If they have the choice of broccoli and beets and cauliflower and cabbage, they're going to choose one of them. So let them choose that and then go home and figure a way that is palatable for everybody in the house. And now they feel empowered. Oh my God, I chose our vegetable tonight that we're eating at dinner. And they're going to love it. They're going to be involved with it. And you've done a huge service for the next generation. Question?
I was wondering with the Mighty Greens, is there a limit, like with a 5 and a 9-year-old, with the detoxing mechanism?
It's not a heavy detox. It's going to gently detox them. It has a little bit of chlorella in it as one of the 17 ingredients that it has. The rest of it is to
It's
boost
more of
up.
a nutritional upbuilding.
Yeah, that's why it's designed for kids. It's not to detoxify them. You can do, I think the dosage is a tablespoon, with juice or water, and you want to keep it refrigerated. But I would be happy if
You
they
could
even
play
got
with
3
it.
tablespoons
Yeah, you could play with it.
without worrying.
Yeah.
What about the blood type diet? At what age do you do that for kids? Or
That's a great question, Amy. I would probably not stick to the blood type diet too much until they're about 4.
okay,
Up until that point. I mean,
got a
he's eating
protein.
sweet potatoes, and I know he's a blood type A.
Yeah.
Sweet potatoes are a void for his blood type, but you know what? It's too early to start eliminating foods. And the blood type is a guideline. There are no Bibles.
Yeah.
My only strict is cow dairy.
No cow dairy.
He's not a cow.
No cow dairy.
but I guess if
I guess he's a goat because he's getting goat milk.
if you're taking your child to the farmer's market and introducing them to foods and allowing them to pick, then they'll probably go to their blood type food.
They'll go to
anyway,
what they naturally
energetically,
need.
Or
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I was going to say, like, his heel was pricked and they said, oh, he's an A. And I'm not going to fight the idea chemically that, in regards to chemistry, that he's an A, okay? But I don't think babies have a blood type. Not the way that we do. Yes, he's an A, but that boy needs protein right now. He needs all of this stuff that maybe at 25 you go, oh, you avoid sweet potatoes because you're a blood type A. But he needs all this stuff right now because his body has no barrier. He's in leaky gut syndrome. Everything that goes in is immediately absorbed and utilized right away, right? Because he's in super growth mode. So for us, it's about, can we give him the protein he needs, the vitamins, the minerals, all of that stuff so that he can go from 0 to 5. Once I'm 0 to 5, then we can start to diversify a little bit with the foods and go, okay, maybe a more vegetarian diet is better for him as opposed to someone who's an O blood type where we go, eat some meat, boy, every meal, right? What if he turns around and says, oh, I'm 13, I'm 14, and I want to be an athlete, Dad. I'm going to go be a baseball player. He's going to naturally start to eat more protein because he's breaking his muscles down and he's making a big demand on his body. And he'll shift himself a little bit from an A to what I call an AO, which is somebody who became an athletic when they were an A and they needed the protein to continue to function like that. So it's very flexible, okay? We tend to look at the things you should avoid. So as an athletic A, I might eat the beef that I should avoid, but I might avoid the sweet potatoes. Okay, I'll also look at what my gut does and decide, hey, when I eat sweet potatoes, it really does bother me. Now, unfortunately, I like beef, but when I eat beef, I notice it bothers me. But if I don't eat beef, I get weak and I lose muscle tone because I forced myself to be an athlete early in my life. So it's very fluid, okay, but I think from 0 to 5, we got to give them everything they need so they can grow their bones, their muscles, their brain, their nervous system, all of that. That's why there's so much fish oil involved. Great for the brain, great for the nervous system. That's what we're growing right now. He's still connecting everything. That's why crawling and belly time is important for children, because it literally helps their nervous system connect and grow and build. Okay?
And one of the things I've done with my nieces for years is because, and the thing about blood type is you don't want to get into a habit at 2 to 3, be like, oh, we can't have an elimination diet, and now the thing of diets. It's all about nutrition. It's all about increasing and complementing. And so with all my nieces, I've tried to teach them, because I know that they're not getting it anywhere else, is you should eat the color of the rainbow every single day. And every kid loves rainbows, right? Every kid knows the colors of the rainbow. So I always sit down. So what'd you have today that was red? What'd you have that was orange? What'd you have that was...
Right.
So that's a very simple, fun thing that can be a game with your kids. What did we do today? Did we eat the colors of the rainbow? What colors did we eat? And you can talk about it at the meal. Oh, well, before dinner's over, we might have to, poach some strawberries, which would be
whatever,
gross.
but whatever.
Apples to get some red, because we haven't had red yet today.
And involving them in the kitchen.
Plums, there you go. Poached plums, that's better.
Involving them in the kitchen and the actual process of food, whether that's helping you handle the food, chop the food, whatever it might be appropriately for the child. Have them involved in the kitchen. Because I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in the living room. The kitchen was mom's territory. Dad didn't go in very much. Okay, mommy was in the kitchen and she was feeding us. We're trying to shift those old patterns and get children much more involved in the actual process of food. So you helped mommy pick out the food at the farmer's market on Saturday. Now you're helping her wash the food. Then we're going to help her prepare the food. We're going to plate the food. We're going to eat the food. We're going to clean up the food. Wow. Our family revolves very much around our meals and what's going on there. Man, if you do that, you're going to shift a lot of things for our kids. Absolutely. Because most of the kids are in front of the TV, not watching TV at all, and not watching the kitchen experience at all. And then they're given the food. They eat the food as fast as they can because they want to get back to the tube. And food becomes a secondary, it's a bother. And that's why fast food and processed food has become so popular, because it's easy and it's not a bother. It doesn't take any time. But what a great loss. We've lost something in our culture around that, and how we shifted the importance of food to being not very important at all. Okay? And that stops us from spending time as a family together. He's upstairs eating, she's over there eating, Dad's in front of the TV eating, and we're in the house, but we're not together. Okay? So, any other questions? Because we're going to wrap it up, take our boy home.
Brittany.
On the cod liver oil. So, I take fish oil, Keith takes fish oil, Luke takes fish oil. We take the omega 369. So, how is that different than the cod liver?
How old is Luke now?
10.
That's fine. The cod liver oil is particularly good for developing brains. He's still developing at 10, obviously, but I'm talking between 0 and 5.
Yeah.
Because it's full of vitamin A and D in particular, which is particularly good for the neurotransmitters that are not fully developed yet. So you want to really focus in on cod liver oil from 0 to 5. After that, you do want the omega 3 and 6s at the ratio of 3 to 2, 3 to 6.
Okay.
3 to 2 ratio for omega 3 to omega 6.
Okay.
And then keep switching them.
Yeah.
Different oils all the time. Get off of fish oils, do hemp oil, do flaxseed oil, get some plant oils. Oh, I'm back into fish oils now. And we're never going to give the body something consistently over a long period of time, because it ultimately stops really seeing that and benefiting from it. So you're always going to switch him up on his oils.
You can do tuna oil, and then you can switch it to krill oil, and then you can
Shark
switch
liver
it to
oil,
shark.
there's a million things.
Okay.
But you should shift it up on him every once in a while, yeah.
Okay. And then I had another side question. Nutrition calorie-wise. Like, Luke's short, I'm short. Calorie-wise, should that matter for a 10-year-old?
I would not personally, I wouldn't get involved in counting calories. I've never counted them in my...
portion-wise, you see kids, especially at school, he'll double dip and have 2 meals, for heaven's sakes.
That's okay.
They're growing.
I don't care about that.
And if it's quality food. It's all about the quality of food.
At lunch.
Oh,
at school,
lunch is
when
fine.
he
You're not
buys,
taking, yeah.
he sneaks things. Oh, the lunch lady will be like, oh, look, we have an extra grilled chicken. What?
Right.
Yeah, it's grilled chicken. So anyway, but that's why I was just curious about calorie-wise, when...
So at home, I would let them eat till they're
full.
And they're satisfied. And that's going to change throughout their life. and not get into a situation where they're counting calories, because that's just, whether they're men or women, girls or boys, they're setting them up for issues with food. At a school situation, yeah, I would limit, just say to them, hey, listen, you get one lunch, that's it.
Right.
Do you all know what a calorie is? Do you all actually know what a calorie is and how that's decided? You burn the food. Okay, you take a peanut and you burn the peanut completely. And then you measure the weight. The weight that is missing from the unburned peanut, from the unburned to the burned peanut, is the calories that were in the peanut. It's literally energy that is burned. That's what a calorie is. So here's the thing. Pretend there's 1,000 calories in a glass of Coca-Cola. There's 1,000 calories in a portion of broccoli. There's 1,000 calories in each, absolutely equal. The calorie doesn't have anything to do with nutrition. It only has to do with what it takes to burn that. So if it takes me X amount of energy to burn the peanut, that's so many calories that it took, okay? So the most important thing to look at is not the calories, but the information that the body's getting. So 1,000 calories of Coca-Cola or 1,000 calories of broccoli, is there different information in there for the body? Because what they've discovered is that what we eat is nutrition. Yes, the body will burn it, break it down, and try and give it to our cells, but they have discovered that it is also literal information to the DNA in our cells. So, our DNA is no longer something set in stone. It is just a potential. The thing that unlocks the DNA for us is the information that's given to the DNA through the food we eat. So, if I don't want diabetes, for instance, that my dad had, all I have to do to avoid that is not worry about my genetics, because your genetics are 13% of what your life is going to be. It's only 13%. It's a potential. So if I don't want dad's diseases, all I have to do is not follow his diet, because he gave his body certain information. He gave his body calories every day, but they were calories of Coca-Cola, white bread, and sliced lunch meat. Okay? If I don't do that, and I give myself calories full of broccoli and other organic foods and fishes and meats, I tell my cells to do two different things. And that's the important part. Okay? So don't worry about calories. Don't count calories. Most people do somewhere between, for children, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,800. As we get older in our teens, boys are around 2,600, girls are a little less, but it's somewhere between 1,800 and 2,600. Maxing out in calories, okay? But that's just the energy you need to burn the food. It's about the information that the child is getting through that food that's important, okay? So calories is like standing on the scale. I'm 175 pounds. Well, okay, you're 175. A pound is a pound. Is it 175 pounds of awesome muscle, or you're 75 pounds of big flat blubber? It's all a pound, right? Depends on what is making up that pound. So that's a good one for you. Okay, any other questions?
One more.
Go ahead.
Do you have any children's supplements that are gluten-free?
Yeah, this is gluten-free.
No, the Miracle Green has barley. That's not. That's
This, not the Mighty Greens. This is gluten-free. This is gluten-free.
And all the homeopathic.
This will be gluten-free.
The Arctic cod liver oil is gluten-free.
Yep.
The only thing that has gluten in it is your grains or your wheat.
Right.
So.
Right, the Mighty Greens.
Yeah.
So, the berries actually would be gluten-free. The Nordic berries.
Yeah, the only thing
which is vitamins and minerals, like the gummies with a little bit of cane sugar. So
but it doesn't have any fillers?
I don't. I'll double check right now, but I don't believe so. Nope.
No sweet.
The other great thing in regards to getting away from wheat for your kids, okay, quinoa is extremely good. Use some bouillon cubes to flavor it. Amaranth. Different types of amaranth is extremely good for your children, and it's a superfood. It has a great amount of great nutrition for you, good information. Amaranth is one of the grains that we should start using in this country. You get a lot out of it.
It has rice syrup solids.
Rice is fine.
But you're fine.
Yeah.
That's the only grain that they even mention. So, yep.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Good questions.
And good job to all the pregnant ladies that didn't actually get up with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And look for the information on our open house. And once a year we do a workshop on a Saturday, and it's next month. If you have anybody that's interested that can't make here during the week. Thanks for coming.